Hey guys, this is the mind of Lilith, and thank you for joining me today. I've received several requests via IG to discuss this particular topic. Apparently, Melody revealed that Martell has filed for full custody of the Holt children. He did not file for full custody of his child with Arionne. He filed for full custody of his children with Melody, right? Because Martell feels like Melody stole something from him. Okay, so Martell never really cared about Melody like that, right? She was just like an object or puzzle piece to fit into his perfect life plan. The beautiful wife, the home, the businesses, the money, the esteem, the children, right? This was the illusion or the fantasy of a perfect life that Martell had crafted for himself before he even met Melody. When he met Melody, he realized that she would be the perfect puzzle piece for him to complete his dream, right? He would get the esteem of being a good father, of being a businessman, of having a good reputation in the community and society. He'd be considered a good father. He'd be considered a good husband. He'd be considered a good catch for women because he's attractive and whatever. So Melody fit into this dream life that Martell crafted for himself, right? This is why when in season 2, when Chris and his wife was trying to get Martell and Melody to reconcile, he said, if you had been doing what you were supposed to do in my house, then I wouldn't have had to cheat. So it didn't matter how much Melody contributed to Martell's dream. It was still his dream, right? It still belonged to him. Just like the home belonged to him. And just like the children belonged to him as well. Martell sees his children as property. Most narcissists, if not all, see their children as property and objects that are extensions of themselves, right? They're just objects. They don't really have an identity outside of making Martell look like a better man than he actually is. This is why he kept clinging on to this I'm a good man, I'm a good husband, I'm a good father nonsense, while he was basically forcing his children to sleep on air mattresses because he stole money from his ex-wife during the divorce proceedings, and then he prevented his ex-wife from buying new furniture for her new home with the kids that she was forced to move into because Martell refused to leave. And this was all happening at the same time Arionne was pregnant with Martell's love child, right? So Mr. Father of the Year has spent the past several years punishing Melody for having the audacity to leave this abusive marriage. I'm going to go back really quickly. I've always disagreed with the notion that Melody was a narcissist. Yes, she may be a bit self-centered, but I mentioned before, you have to be self-centered or centered within yourself in order to protect yourself from the games and manipulation and the abuse of a narcissist. On the outside looking in, right? If you look at a narcissistic relationship from the outside, you would think that the abused is actually the abuser. You would actually think that the victim is the one who's the perpetrator of the abuse. What happens a lot of times in long-term narcissistic relationships is that the victim sometimes becomes the perpetrator in order to protect themselves from being abused by the narcissist. Some call this reactionary abuse. And then the narcissist will use this as an excuse to say, see, the reason why I'm leaving her or the reason why I'm treating her like shit is because she's crazy. It's because she's abusive. They don't ever talk about what has led to the woman snapping or losing her cool or losing her mind or slapping him in the face like Melody used to do to Martell. Martell has been verbally abusing Melody from the beginning of their relationship, okay? It is what it is. So, from a distance, if you're just watching this show like the lady on that panel, that chemistry panel, you're going to think that Melody is the bitch and Martell is a calm, cool, rational, good daddy, perfect husband, and model citizen, and Melody should be kissing the ground that he walks on, right? But behind the scenes, people did not see the amount of abuse that was inflicted on Melody, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and verbally, right? So because they didn't see this abuse, they only saw her reaction to the abuse, which is why I always went hard for Melody, because I knew what she was going through behind the scenes, because I've seen this happen in my own personal life, right? Okay, so from a distance, you would think that Melody's the bitch and Martell's the good guy. Okay, so now Martell has convinced a lot of women that I'm a good father, I'm a good man, I'm the good guy. Melody is selfish. All she cares about is her career and so on, so forth, so forth. Listen, if Melody was a bad guy, she would have taken the opportunity to file for full custody while Martell had another woman pregnant with his child. Okay? If Melody was a narcissist and a bad woman, Martell would not still be bitter about losing Melody. Okay? Martell feels like Melody stole his perfect life from him. That is why he's mad at her. He blames her for the destruction of this perfect image that he created of a wife and children at home and him being the breadwinner and the primary whatever, okay, which he was not. Primary breadwinner or dominant parent. He wasn't either of those things. So Melody divorcing him destroyed this perfectly crafted image that he created of himself, that he was using to deceive the public about who he really was. An abusive, empty narcissist. So here's what happened, okay? After Martell got Arionne pregnant, right? And Melody left Martell. You know, she left before then, but okay. Melody left Martell. She had it in her mind to be out. Martell had agreed to leave one of the family homes so that the children could have a stable environment. But instead of doing that, he stayed in the homes and tried to force Melody into moving back in with him by stealing money from her and not allowing her to take furniture into the new home that she had basically rented or purchased for her and her children, okay? It is safe to say that Melody did not want to be around Martell at all, especially considering the amount of abuse he had inflicted on Melody. If we remember in season 2, Tank said that Martell was acting like a crazy man, and he felt the need to protect his mother from the crazy man. Mr. Father of the Year, Mr. Dominant Parent, Mr. Good Father, right? Melody had to be protected from him by her young male child, okay? This is the good father that people are talking about, okay? So instead of Melody asking for alimony, child support, and, full custody of the kids, right? Because she would have probably gotten it if she asked for it, okay? She said, you know what, I'm going to be fair to Martell. No alimony, no child support, and I'll give him 50-50 custody so that he can enjoy his new life with his new girlfriend. I'm not going to give him any burdens or any tethers or anything to obstruct him starting over in his new life, and I expect the same. If you remember in the conference room when Martell and Melody had this conversation about how they were going to split up the assets and the companies and things like that, Martell said, please do not get in the way of any potential financial opportunities that I have, right? He wanted Melody to do him a favor and look out for him and have his back. That's what he asked her to do. So Melody had Martell's back, right? She didn't ask him for any alimony, any child support, and she was still taking care of the bills in the house that she was forced to leave because Martell was broke and had no money. Mr. Primary Breadwinner had no money after Melody divorced him because he was probably too busy tricking off other women and he had other debts to pay. It is what it is. Melody took care of those 4 children for the full year of their divorce. Took care of tuition for school, food, clothes, everything they needed by herself for 4 children. Despite the fact that Martell stole $17,000 from her and forced her to spend her limited resources on a new home that she really shouldn't have had to spend money on because they had 2 houses at the time that were fully furnished, but Martell would use those homes to infringe on Melody's freedom and her ability to leave this abusive marriage while he was telling everybody else that she was the one delaying the divorce. On top of that, Martell begins to lie on Melody and act as if she's a bad mother who's neglecting the kids. He said Marcus spanked the kids. He said Melody brought the kids over with a bunch of dirty clothes as if she doesn't do laundry for the children, right? He acted as if Melody never cooked and cleaned for the children. He acted as if Melody had the children, with a bunch of people. The reason why Melody has a lot of people watching her 4 children is because she is now a single mother of 4 children who does not want to live in the hood. She doesn't want to live in a bad neighborhood. She wants her children to have a certain standard of living, and she does not want her children to suffer for the actions of Martell. She is overcompensating, and in my opinion, she may feel guilty about the situation, and she may be overcompensating by trying to give her children all of their material needs, right? Working extra hard to make money, and it is what it is, right? I get that, right? And Melody loves business naturally, fine. So Martell, instead of being the gracious person that he thinks that he is, or that he acts like he is, this good guy, this good father, this good man, he's going to try to pull a Steve Harvey on Melody and basically try to take her children from her. If you guys remember, Steve Harvey took custody of his child from his second wife, Mary. After he broke her down psychologically and made her have a nervous breakdown from his disrespect and abuse, he took custody of her child, okay? And basically acted as if the mother didn't exist, right? So he brought his child into his new family with his new wife and tried to erase her as if she meant nothing, okay? And now it seems like the oldest son, Mary's son with Steve Harvey, doesn't even deal with Steve Harvey at all. He always brags about, what's her name? Lori Harvey. What about your son with Mary? What happened? Okay, so like Steve Harvey, Martell, who's also a Capricorn, wants to use the children as a pawn in this situation. He honestly believes that the children are his property, that Melody was just a vessel to give birth to his children. She was just an incubator for his vision, right? And once the vision was actualized, now he can take the children as if they're his own, right? So if Melody was really a narcissist, she would grind Martell into dust. She has enough information and receipts to do this. Even if she's not going to be successful at it, she has so many receipts of what has happened during the relationship. And she also has evidence of, enduring psychological, verbal, emotional, and financial abuse at the hands of Martell. And she can make a case that, like, listen, he is not going to be a good primary custodian of these children because he has them around this lady, right? Who doesn't like me or my children. So his lifestyle is posing a threat to my children's life, right? Their safety. She can go get real dirty with it. But Melody's not a narcissist. She wants Martell to have partial custody of his children. She knows how much he values those kids, and she doesn't want to totally break him, right? But Martell wants to totally break Melody. He wants to take everything from Melody. Her respect, her dignity, right? Her money, and now her kids. Because he feels like he was robbed, right? He feels like Melody robbed him of some destiny that she was just an incubator for. I'm going to use you to execute my vision. And then once that vision has been executed, I want to receive credit for everything that I use you to accomplish. Yes, Martell contributed to the marriage, but he was not the dominant parent and he was not the primary breadwinner, period. If that was the case, then guess what? He would have his builder's license, right? He would be receiving the rewards that Melody received for the work she was doing in their business. It is as simple as that. So, because Martell's a narcissist and he wants to punish Melody for having the audacity to leave, he is now going to strike while the iron's hot. Yes, Melody is really busy and she's preoccupied with trying to make a living for herself and her 4 children. And Martell's going to use that as an excuse to say she's an unfit parent. She's not a good mother because she's forced to be a single mother because I cheated on her for 5 years and got somebody else pregnant. That is why I deserve full custody, because I forced her to divorce me because I've been abusing her for our entire marriage. So because I forced her to divorce me, she is no longer a fit parent. That is what he wanted to happen. He wanted to break her down psychologically to the point where she cannot function, just like Mary could not function when she left Steve Harvey, or when Steve Harvey left her, okay? Not Mary, sorry. Marjorie Harvey, I believe her name is, the second wife. No, I'm right. It was Mary Harvey. Marjorie is the third wife. Okay, so Mary Harvey lost custody of her children after her rich, famous, powerful husband, Steve Harvey, forced her to give up custody of her only child so that he can make a whole new life with a whole new wife and act as if she doesn't exist, right? Because those children are his property. Just like Martell wants his children with Melody to be his property, just like the home that they built together was his house, and that was his marriage, and it was his life she was ruining by not having the time to give him oral sex after a long day's work, okay? So she ruined his fantasy of this perfect life. And because she ruined his fantasy of his perfect life, he's going to do the only thing that he can in his power to take power back from Melody, take custody of her children. He doesn't want to share custody. No, I want all the custody for me because I want to punish you for leaving me, right? And destroying my dream and my fantasy of this perfect life. Why isn't Martell asking for custody of his child with Arionne? I don't even think he has partial custody. I think he picks up the child and, there's no 50-50 custody with Knox. I think he comes and sees the child on weekends or whatever. There is no custody arrangement. It's just them having a conversation and, I'll get the kids today and whatever. I don't think there's a scheduled time to see the kids, right? I think he sees the kids when he can see them. So he doesn't see, his fifth child as much as he sees the other 4 children. He even told his mother in season 2 that raising 4 children is very difficult. This is what's really interesting to me. This is very interesting to me. So when Martell was falling on hard times, right, and he didn't have the money to see his children, so he basically let Melody do all of the parenting for the first 6 to 9 months of the divorce, right, because he was broke. And we saw this in season 3. Melody did not say, you know what, since you're too broke to take care of the kids, let me file for full custody because you have not honored the custody agreement. I can use that as grounds for filing for full custody. Melody did not kick Martell when he was down, okay? He had no money and he wasn't honoring the custody agreement and he had a newborn baby with somebody else. So if Melody was a narcissist, she would use all of this information as ammunition to try to destroy Martell and take full custody of the kids. So now that Martell has gotten more financial security, he's back on his feet, he is now going to use his newfound strength to try to take something from Melody, even though Melody was gracious enough to not try to kick him when he was down, when he needed help, right? When he needed support. You can never be nice to a narcissist. And I've said this before. You have to treat narcissists as if they're your enemy. It's unfortunate, and I have to keep saying this, but it is what it is. This is difficult because, as women especially, and most men are narcissists, most women are BPDs. Okay. Most narcissists are men and most BPDs are women. I'm sorry. So this is the thing, right? A woman wants to take care of a man in a sense. She wants to nurture him. She wants to love him. She don't want to treat him like shit, right? Most human beings want to be nice to each other, okay? Because it's uncomfortable and it's exhausting being contentious with somebody that you're so close to and you got to see every day. Sometimes you want peace. So, women may think that being nice to the narcissist will give them some sort of peace. It will not give them peace. If you have gone no contact with a narcissist and you have seen a change in their behavior because they don't have, access to your supply and they want you to feel sorry for them, do not think that the narcissist has changed. The narcissist will never, ever change. The narcissist will never, ever, ever, ever change. Doesn't matter if it's 6 months of a separation or a year or 2 years. It does not matter. Because the narc will always use your kindness or mistake your kindness for weakness. They will always weaponize your humanity against you. Okay? So Melody has tried to be friendly with Martell over the past several months. She tried to be cool with him and they had this little reconciliation. They went on vacation together, whatever. I had to side-eye that situation because I know how narcissists operate and I know that Martell was going to eventually use that gap that Melody created to create more chaos and confusion in her life and then try to take control of her so that whatever resources that she has can be used to benefit him, okay? I wouldn't be surprised if Martell got full custody of the kids and then he filed for child support from Melody, even though Melody never filed for child support from him. I'm going to say it again. I would not be surprised that if Martell was awarded full custody of those 4 children, he would have no problem filing for child support from Melody. He would say, you got to be a good mother and take care of your children financially, right? Even though during the separation, right, in 2020, Martell was not financially providing for his kids at all. It was 2020, 2021, yeah, 2020 and 2021. When Melody left, as soon as Melody left, Martell stopped taking care of those kids. Mr. Father of the Year, right, he stopped financially providing for the children. right? Melody was doing all the work, most of the work herself. And we saw her post something on IG last year about her still paying bills at the house that they used to share together, okay? And this was after the divorce was final at that point, right? So again, I really do not want people to think that Melody is a narcissist because she's confident, driven, outgoing, and her personality has a veneer to it, okay? That's not the same as Martell. If Melody was like Martell, a narcissist for real, she would use every single opportunity to destroy him and shred him in pieces. And she has plenty of ammunition to do so. And she's choosing not to do that for the sake of her children. She's trying to protect her children by not filing for full custody of the kids from Martell. Okay? So Mr. Father of the Year and Mr. Dominant Parent wants to take his children from their mother. Right? That's how much he loves them. He loves them so much, he destroyed their family for somebody who he doesn't even want to be with. That's how much he loved those kids. He loved those kids so much, he disrespected their mother all over social media and lied on their mother all over social media for the past couple of years. He loved his kids so much, right, that he was okay with them sleeping on air mattresses when he had 2 homes full of furniture, just so that he can stick it to Melody, right? Mr. Dominant Parent loves his children so much that he basically coaxed his children into lying on their mother and their uncle. Remember when Martell went live and he was in a car with the kids and they were reciting things that he told them to say, right? About how much better of a parent he is than Melody. You remember how dirty he went then? And every single time, Melody has went high. Essentially, Melody let Martell get away with what he did. Whatever he suffered was because of his own hand. He told Melody he did not want to have any business dealings with her. So Melody dissolved the businesses, right? He said he didn't want to be with her no more. She wasn't satisfying him. So Melody divorced him so he could be with the person he wanted to be with, the one who was satisfying him, right? Everything that Martell asked for, Melody gave him, and Martell is still mad. He's still bitter. Even after going on vacation with Melody and Melody trying to make amends for the sake of their children, guess what? Martell will not drop the custody suit. He won't do that for Melody. He's jealous and bitter. He's a bitter Betty, right? Melody ain't the bitter one. Melody is Hiachi from Tekken 2. Okay? If you guys remember in Tekken 2, these are for my millennials who play fighting games, okay? So in Tekken 2, when you beat the game with Hiachi, there's a scene when Hiachi carries his son Kazuya over a volcanic opening, right? Then Hiachi drops his son into the mouth of the volcano, okay? Then the volcano explodes. Well, before the volcano explodes, Hiachi runs away and jumps and holds onto a helicopter. And as he's flying away, the volcano explodes and Hiachi smiles. That is Melody. Melody is Hiachi smiling because she escaped this disastrous marriage. Okay, I'm going to talk about that later because, that's another conversation. A lot of people say, I feel so bad for Melody. I want her to get back with Martell. They're just watching the show now from season 1. So I understand how they feel, but yeah, I'll talk about that later. But anyway, yeah, so Melody is, she's doing great. Her money's popping. Her brand has been she's rebranded herself successfully, right? Without Martell's help in a sense. She has songs coming out. She had a skincare line coming out. She's doing courses. She is making sure that she has multiple streams of revenue because she is now a single parent of 4 children and her ex-husband is not obligated to pay her alimony or child support. I'm not even sure if Martell ever gave her a dime since the divorce. I don't even know if he has the ability to do that. I have no idea. But she has to take care of herself, by herself, for her children too. And Mr. Dominant Parent, right? Mr. Father of the Year, Mr. I love my kids more than anything, and you all know that, he's willing to punish the mother of his children because he can't have her back. Because he's bitter and he feels like he was robbed of this fantasy life that he had crafted for himself. So now he wanted Melody to pay for robbing him and stealing his dream. Melody stole Martell's dream. Right? In Martell's dream, Melody's a sex toy, his mommy, an automaton, his business partner, his trophy. She's not a human being. She's just an object to make Martell look better. So as soon as she says, oh, wow, I have my own identity. I have my own personality. I have my own dreams, goals, and aspirations. Martell's like, this is not part of the plan. The plan was for me to do this and for you to be whatever I wanted you to be. It wasn't like Melody's goals were out of alignment with what Martell's goals were, right? Melody was still very present for the kids. She was still running the businesses. She wasn't slouching around, doing drugs, sleeping around. No, she was just focusing on things that she wanted to do for herself to establish her own identity outside of Martell's dream of who he wanted her to be. That's one of the reasons why she went so hard. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I look forward to reading your comments. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will speak to you soon.